am a registered migration agent. I have been for over 2 years doing this presentation every week on Facebook. I used to do this in Portuguese, but my clients that are not from Brazil start to complain, and I think it's absolutely fair because I have clients from all around the world. It's absolutely fair that I'm helping Brazilians, that I help other nationalities as well. Then for a few weeks we start to doing this presentation in English as well. If you want to watch the previous ones, last week we talk about Tasmania, and the previous week we talk about points. Two very interesting information for you to know and learn that what you need to learn to avoid be in Australia studying forever and not achieve your permanent residency. I am a registered migration agent. I have 15 years working with migration. Then I have enough experience to share with you. If you want to know me better, please go to the Facebook reviews that you will know a little bit more about me. Okay, today we'll be talking about 190 and 491. What's the big difference between both, and what are the advantages of applying for the 491 visa? Okay, I will start. Both visas are skilled visa. Both require skill assessment. Both require nomination from the state, and both require the points. It's very important that you understand the three different requirements that are necessary for this application, because they have different requirements. The first step is the skill assessment. You have to assess your qualification in Australia, even if you have studied in Australia. Then there are different requirements for the assessment board. Some require English 6, some require English 7, some require academic, some require general, some doesn't require English. There are assessment boards that require experience. Some require certain experience within the last 5 years. Other require some experience in the last 3 years. Other doesn't put any limit when the experience was acquired. The most important thing is that you need to know that these requirements is different from the requirement of Immigration Department. Immigration Department require minimum 6 on IELTS or equivalent in another English test. Those requirements can be very different on the skill assessment. And another requirement that's very tricky and very important is the requirements of the state, because each state has different requirements, and you need to know what are the requirements to choose. Since the beginning, when you go to study, it's important you know the requirements of the state for you choose the right state to study and be able to achieve the state requirements. Some require that you work and full-time, other require that you work part-time, other requires that you work in your field, other requires that it has to be in your nominated occupation. There are many different requirements for different states. I talked about Tasmania last week. It's the most beneficial state for nominating 190 and 491. It's really worth you watch, because it will help you, mainly for people that's in advanced age or have short time to achieve your skill assessment and things like that. Okay, then those are the common requirements for both visa. Okay, skill assessment, state nomination, and of course the points that you can also watch my video 2 weeks ago that I speak about points. But now we'll talk about the difference between one and another. The 190 visa is a permanent visa. Of course, it's great, it's permanent, yes. But it's required less, there are less viability for 190 visa, okay? The list that state provides in general, they are bigger for 491, and the points required for 190 in general are higher, okay? Exactly because it's a permanent residence. The requirements for the state in general are more strict for 190. For example, Queensland required 6 months working in your nominated occupation. For 491, they require only 3 months. Then the 190, you have to live 2 years in the state you applied for. And you have permanent residence, and you have your Medicare granted in the moment you lodge the 190, because it's a permanent visa, you have Medicare approved. But pay attention, please. It's not when you lodge the expression of interest. It is when you lodge the visa after the invitation of expression of interest. Then you can use your Medicare while you are on bridge visa. The 491 visa and 190 visa give you only 5 points for the state nomination, while the 491 give you 15 points. Then I will talk now about the 491. That's a very, very beneficial visa for you. Why it's beneficial? But it's not permanent. Yes, it's not permanent, but it's much, much easier for you to get it. And it's not permanent, it's temporary for 5 years, and during these 5 years, you have to work 3 years full-time, make 43,900 a year. This year is the financial year because you have to provide your tax return to immigration to show that you are complying with the requirements. Okay? This job you can get doesn't need to be in your occupation. It's fantastic. Any job you can get doesn't have to be permanent, can be casual, part-time or full-time, 2 part-time or 1 full-time job. Then it's very easy for you to comply with these requirements. And what's another great advantage of 491? It gives you 15 points instead 5 points that the 190 give you. Then 50 points is 10 points more. Then it makes much more attractive because how much more points you have, you can be invited early. Another important thing is that you, during the 491, you have rights to Medicare. You don't have rights to Medicare when you lodge the visa as the 190. 190 is permanent. This is why you have Medicare straight away. But the 491, only you give the Medicare when you visa granted. Then you have Medicare for you and your family during 5 years. And when you complete 3 years within these 5 years, you can apply for 191. And guess what? 191 doesn't have age problem anymore. If you get your 491 who's 44 years old, you are still eligible to 190 when you complete the 3 years of working within the 5 years. Okay? One thing that I think it's very, very important, I let you know, that if you study a regional area, you will give also extra points because you have 5 points if you study in a non-regional area for 2 years. But if you study in a regional area for 2 years as well, you gain extra 5 points. Then the regional area can give you 25 points to start your application. It's lots of points. Okay, then you should be aware of that. In the previous visa, in the previous video I did in Portuguese, one client made a question that I could not answer, but I will be answered. And if you have this question, I will be published on Facebook. What are the states that are giving domestic fees for school, for dependent school? Because the law says on 491 that it's up to states giving a domestic fee or not. Then you have to be aware each state and do a research, but we're going to do this research to find out which states are giving this opportunity. Then just to form the difference between, let's go to 191, it's permanent. The 491, it's the 190 is permanent. The 491, it's temporary. The 190 gives you 5 points on nomination. The 491 gives you 15 points. Very important 491 that I'm forgetting to tell you, that you can move within different states after the visa granted. Of course, you will sign a commitment to live in that state, but you can, after a while, request, communicate to immigration and move between, within regional areas. Then if you apply in Tasmania, you can move to Sunshine Coast later, to Perth, to Gold Coast, to Adelaide. Then you don't need to be there forever, because it's a concern if you don't get a job. It's a good excuse for you to let the state know that despite you have made a declaration that you intend to stay for 5 years in that state, but you are not getting job, and then this is why you're willing to move to another state. Then this is basically, I want to let you know that you can make any question. The questions are open. I can see that there is no questions yet. Okay, then if you have doubts, you can definitely put in the comments, and we will answer here as far as we know the answer, because sometimes we don't know, and we always answer later because I don't know everything, but we can do a research and find your answer. Okay, then this is the message I would like to give to you. I would love if you can share with your friends that's not Brazilians, that don't speak Portuguese, that we are now doing this presentation. Okay, if you want to have an appointment, we are with a COVID discount of 25%. We are agents that, despite we have a Department of Student, the Department of Student is prepared to help you to achieve your permanent residence, because we are an immigration agency, and all the staff on Department of Student is trained to help you to achieve your permanent residence. We always recommend you book an appointment with me first, because I will draft you a plan to avoid you study what's not necessary and you stay in Australia, study, and never achieve the opportunity to apply for the visa. Okay?
There's
yeah,
one
we
question.
have a question here.
Jessica is asking if we can apply 190 and 491 together.
Yeah, it's not apply. You can express your interest for both. I don't recommend, it's very important, when you apply, you don't put lots of states, because if you put lots of states, what will happen? It will happen that they will not invite you. okay? Then the best option is you apply for 190 and 491 in the same state. But it's not the application, as I said, it's the expression of interest, okay? You can do it.
I think that's it, Maria.
Well, we don't have more questions. It's a shame. I love answering questions. I think that help a lot. I hope next week we will be here again talking about sponsorship, the difference between each sponsorship and what are the requirements necessary for you to be sponsored. Okay, I would appreciate if you all here back, and if you invite your friends. We'll be doing 8:15 in Portuguese and 9 o'clock in English. Okay, see you next week. Thank you very much.